Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. It's time to get rolling on our AMF 1414, the 1970s tractor. So pretty straightforward right now. I know that I'm dealing with no spark, so I'm going to go ahead and rip the hood, hopefully the front clip off, and we'll see if we can't get that engine cover off. I'm going to go ahead and get that stuff off, and then we'll get recording and see what we can find. Well, this is going to be a little more complicated than I intended. We got the hood, the front clip. This thing's got to weigh like probably 60 pounds, just a piece of cast. I don't know, that might be way off, but regardless, we got our control unit and the wheel off that sit right there. And the problem we're running into, so I need this front housing of the engine off. Well, I thought that this section here would be bolted on, but it's actually welded on. And it's hard to tell without a light, but this is a drive shaft driven machine. So I think we're gonna have to pull this motor off. I think it'll be pretty straightforward, just a few bolts on the bottom. The only thing, the oil drain here, I'll have to figure that out because I don't know if there's going to be enough room to try to slide the engine over to pop that out of there, but we're going to find out. You can see where this engine's been leaking a lot of oil. There's even some built up on the muffler here. So I don't quite know where that's from, but when we get it off there, get it up on the bench, we'll get a better look. I do know that oil still behind this clutch is leaking. I don't know if that's the only place, I doubt it, but we'll see. Got the carburetor off and had to show you guys this one. You know, an engine has been sitting for a very long time when the fuel in it is green. Look at that. It's all just corrosion in there. Green as can be. So, that'll be fun getting into. I think I'm going to have to, and someone's done this before with all these wires, but I think I'm going to have to do the same thing. Cut them, because all that runs to the stator behind our cover here. So I'll cut those and just splice them back in later. So the last step, we'll pull this stuff off and then attempt pulling the motor. Got everything cut over here. Got all my connections off. Actually, I still have to get the starter stuff off. Alright, I think I got the engine loose on there, and I think it's ready to pull. Got the drive shaft almost off, so I'm going to try to lift it up and get it on the bench and see how it goes. Hopefully, it's easy enough. I don't think it's going to be. It's not a good way to do it. Alright, the engine's free. Now we gotta get it up here on the bench. Oh, she's heavy. Alright. That was fun. Alright. Well, there's half the battle. Well, that was fun. Now that the hard part's done, start tearing these covers off and seeing what's hiding back there. I almost guarantee a mouse nest. We'll see what else. Some frayed wires maybe. I don't know. Moment of truth. You can already tell this is going to be a good one. Try to do it one-handed here. Oh man. So I don't know if any of you guys remember this wheel horse video where we ran into the same issue. Same kind of Kohler engine, I think a little different size. Actually might be the same, 16 horsepower. Anyways, the mice got in there and chewed up that magneto. Well, here's the reason why I don't have any spark. Let's follow our wire all the way down. And it's gone, right where that nest was. So that's 2 for 2 on these engines that the mice get in there and chew stuff up. I'm surprised this wire has survived. You can see the covers missing. a little bit, so I guess we got to get a magneto ordered and see if that solves our problems. In the meantime, I'm gonna get this thing cleaned up, probably power wash it, get this wheeled out there, get it all power washed up, and we'll get our part ordered, wait for that to come in, and keep rolling. Well, here we are. We've got the tractor all disassembled and cleaned up, looking better. Not bad for a 1970s tractor. I'm gonna get the model number off the engine here. We're gonna order the magneto, a couple oil seals, and this has a Sunstrand 90 hydro gear transmission, hydrostatic. So I will have to figure out what fluid goes in there and get a filter for it. So once I get all this stuff squared away, I'll get back with you guys and we'll replace all that stuff and get it back together, see if we can get this thing going again. It's been about a week. Finally got our parts in. Got our whole gasket set, the coil, and then I did order the Kohler brand crank seals. I'm still waiting on one. Doesn't look like it's going to get here, so I think we'll just go ahead and use these, see what happens. I'm going to go ahead and get this thing ripped down. I think I'll pop the head off, start taking my flywheel off and my clutch over here. Don't know yet if I'm going to try to replace this gasket. Kind of feel like I might as well while it's out of the tractor. I've got the flywheel side oil seal out. Go ahead and get our new one pressed in there, and then we'll work on the clutch side. Working on our clutch side now, and as you can see, this was the main problem. Oil all over the place. Got the clutch off, wasn't bad. Couple bolts. Get that one replaced, and then still thinking about this lower unit. I don't know, one thing at a time. Got the new seal in and clutch back on. We'll see if it holds up. I'm a little sketched out. Here's the old one. It was leaking, you can see around the rim there. But these new ones went in a little too easy, so I'm not fully convinced they're gonna seal. I really don't wanna have to pull this motor again. But at this point, I'm just gonna run it. I'll find out. I think next we'll go ahead and pop the head off and get the new head gasket on. There it is. Alrighty, what the heck? That is some stuff from the mice. Carbon buildup in here. Valves. I don't know. Doesn't look terrible. Head gasket anyways. Not seeing any blow by on it. We'll put the new one in there. Get this stuff cleaned up probably. But yeah, I'm pretty happy so far. Got them cleaned up for the most part. So we'll go ahead and get this new gasket bolted in. Throw this back on, torque everything down. Well, after thinking about it, I decided to just go ahead and pop this oil. I don't know if I'd call that an oil pan, I guess. Pop it off, replace that gasket. And inside's looking pretty good. Nice and clean. I see why people like these. I mean, these suckers, that thing weighs, I don't even know what that weighs, but it's heavy. All just cast. This whole motor's about as heavy as can be. It doesn't even compare to the newer stuff out there today. Anyways, go ahead and get this gasket put on there, get all this cleaned up and reassembled, and then start looking at some of the other components. What am I looking at? I don't know. I think that's your valve adjustment maybe. I don't know. I'll take that off, see what's back there. And then a couple other things on here somewhere. I was also going to mention, if you've got one of these motors and you ever have to do a like halfway rebuild where you want to put pistons and rings in it, then they make it pretty simple. You just pop this cover off and you've got access to your connecting rod caps, and then your head, just a few bolts that pop off, and you guys have seen what that looks like. So I do actually really like that design on these types of engines. Got both of our surfaces cleaned up. It's crazy how quickly a bench becomes a mess on something like this, especially when you're rushing to get it done. Anyways, I'll put a little bit of gasket maker around this lip and this surface, and then toss our gasket on and get it installed and torqued, and check out all my other little gaskets on there. We're getting pretty close to tossing it back on. Try to avoid the mess here. Getting close. Well, I got our, I don't even know what these covers are, but whatever this is some kind of timing cover and our fuel pump gasket. Got all those swapped in. Check the other side here. It's like the only thing over here would be the oil fill. I'm gonna take this off. It looks like, what did I do with it? Oh, here it is. Looks like that gasket might be it. Maybe not. I don't know. There we go, probably that way. Take it off and find out. So that is the gasket. Go ahead and get this one swapped out. All right, so whoever had this solenoid on here had it in a weird position where it was basically connecting with the starter here, and they had this rubber grommet piece sitting in there. It's kind of insulated. Well, I don't like that, so I'm going to reposition it and use that hole there, and I'll just drill a new one right here. Get it a little relocated, make it look a little better, and don't have to worry about being too close to the starter. All right, now getting around to the main cause of pulling this motor. Get this swapped out with the new one that hopefully doesn't have any issues. It's pretty cheap on Amazon, we'll see. Get that swapped out, and then I've got one bolt that broke off here. I'll have to try and extract that, and if not, whatever, no big deal. It's just for the cover. Get these covers back on, and then get it tossed back in there in the tractor and get it all hooked up. Well, it wasn't pretty, but we got that bolt out. I did have to re-drill it and tap it for 5/16, but we'll make it work. So now all the gaskets are done. Time to get our covers back on, and then we are gonna take this thing apart. That's gonna be fun. Got it all assembled and cleaned up here. I gotta say, it looks 10 times better than what it did. Now we're gonna move on to our carburetor, get that disassembled, see what kind of shape it's in, and after that, hopefully it's all good and we don't need any parts, then we will toss it back on. So as I suspected, this is not looking good. You see all that nasty green gas that was in there. Yeah. I don't know what we're going to do. This is a Walbro carb, so just one of those cheap ones off Amazon. I don't know. I'll see if I can get it cleaned up and see if it'll do anything. Give it a quick clean in the ultrasonic. Well, I am thoroughly surprised, given what this carb did look like. Cleaned up pretty well. That was a few minutes in the ultrasonic, and then I sprayed it down with some carb cleaner. I'll hit this bowl again. But looking a lot better than what it was. Get it all assembled, and finally throw this thing back on there and get it wired up, see if it's going to run. Carburetor is back on. Go ahead and toss our new plug in, and then we're ready to drop it in. Gonna drop back in. Time to get it wired back up, splice all this back in, put our control unit back on, throw a battery in it, and some oil, of course, and hope for the best. I've got our wires spliced in here. I had a couple crimps and the rest wire tied. In hindsight, I probably should have just wire tied this stuff in case it's got to come apart again. But getting close. I'll put my fuel line on, and then we'll get our filter assembly. Engine's bolted down. Then all we got to do is drop our gas tank in, hook our fuel line up down here, and find a battery somewhere. Put our control unit back on, get all the throttle linkage figured out, and then we're ready to test fire it. Fuel tank's in, fuel hose is hooked up. Now time to deal with this mess. Got our wiring all hooked up. Hopefully it's correct. I got our new battery in. I do have power to the starter. So I think it might be time to wheel this thing outside and see if it's going to fire up or not. Before I do that, I think it would be a good idea to add some oil. That's a good way to kill a motor. Fill up some oil in here, wheel it out there, and see what we got. All right, let's see what happens. Fingers crossed. Grab my earmuffs because I've had these things backfire before, loud enough to about blow my eardrums out. Fired for a second. That's good. All right. Well, that was cool. We at least know it runs. So as you just heard or saw, it is running. Sounds like it's not getting enough fuel. So I wonder if this style fuel filter on here is just not ideal for the fuel pump that's on it. I don't know, it's got plenty in there, but it's either that or maybe some carb adjustments. But man, that's the first sign of life out of this, I don't know, 50-year-old tractor. That is cool. I'm gonna keep messing with it, see if I can't get it to run a little better. After some thinking, I watched the video back and realized when I got up, that's when it cut out. I'm like, there's no way this thing's got a seat safety switch. Well, it sure enough does right here. So that parking brake back on, see if it'll fire up again. Look at that. It's running away. So that brake obviously doesn't work. It will need some adjustment, but man, that is cool. Running good. So I think that fuel filter was our issue. I took that out and now it's running good with the choke off. I know it looks like it's on, but I think I did something backwards there. Maybe that's how this old one is, I don't know. But regardless, running good with the choke off and throttling up fine. Time to run around the yard a little bit and get the rest of it put back together.